Hello, Aleph. How are you doing?
I'm barely awake. And yourself, Alex?
It's Alex here from Music Shock World, and today I am so privileged because an incredible man in front of me, and ladies and gentlemen, welcome for this chat. It's not going to be a proper interview because we are friends and we need to talk. We should start talking about women. No.
It'll be an improper interview.
How are you? How are you?
I'm well. And yourself?
Yeah. I'm a little bit tired. Yesterday I was in Manchester to see a gig, but my dream is about to see Carl Strange. And now I don't know what is it. Hang on. This is I'm the man of surprises. But Nena. So I know that this is not professional, but se trovi il CD. No, yeah. But look, guys, I want to see. Look here.
See, I don't even have my copies yet. My copies are in New York trying to clear customs right now.
I'm more lucky than you. So we should start from this album. What it means for you recording an album at your age with your experience, the meaning of recording an album like this?
I'm very happy with the way the album came out. I've been playing with two of the people in the band, Buzz Deadwax on bass and Rodney Horihata on guitar. The three of us have been playing together, playing music together since 1989. So we've known each other a very long time. I feel like we do some of our best work together.
Yeah.
And it's also the first album that I'm primarily a drummer.
Yeah.
I started drumming in bands back in 1980, I think, and this is the first album that I sing on.
And do you think that in some way music for you, recording an album, touring, whenever it's possible, we have to remember the pandemic moment was terrible. But do you still think in some way that going, recording an album and going for the gigs is so relevant for you, or I mean, you take all of this as a very serious thing, or is that like an hobby?
Oh no, I mean I've been in, like I said, I started playing in 1980 when I discovered punk rock. And that was easy because you just hit everything as fast and as hard as you can. I've spent so many years of my life unlearning the terrible habits that I learned back then. But yeah, I've been doing music for more than half my life, playing in bands.
Yeah.
It's definitely the best vehicle for me to express all the terrible feelings that I have.
Yeah. But it's like a vehicle to express yourself in a different way when you are writing lyrics or singing, etc.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, really, it's the first time that I've been able to write lyrics or like I said, sing in original bands. I sang in a Sisters of Mercy tribute band. So that was the very first thing that I sang in. That for me was easy because I'd been listening to that music for 30 years and got a very deep voice, so I can hit all of those notes. And that was a lot of fun. I mean, I'm primarily at the back of the stage as a drummer, and then moving to the front of the stage, I suddenly realized that I had to do something that was entertaining, which I'm not used to doing.
And when you start to realize the meaning of the lyrics for you, and I mean at the same time when you were buying some vinyls or some records, and I think you were, as me as well, fascinated by some artists. Now, do you really have a specific moment when you realize, okay, I really want to do something like that?
Not necessarily with this band. Like I said, I'd been playing with Buzz and Rodney since 1989, and most of that time I was a drummer. We put the Reptile House together. That's the Sisters tribute, and we got Buzz on bass and Rodney on guitar, and that was something that kind of brought us all back together after people had went off and tried to live their lives and not do music and be serious. That's it. I can't do this hobby anymore. And it took about 3 years for each one of them to finally I need to do music. I'm going nuts. So I was like, hey, let's start a tribute band. It'll be easy. The homework is easy. You can say, I think this part goes 8 times, and then somebody else says, no, I think it goes 16 times. We're like, let's listen to the record and find out. So it was a very easy way to get back into music, I feel, and a way to bring us together in a way that we had not been before. So yeah, this band started when Andre, our drummer, had asked me if I wanted to start a project with him. He's like, I hear you want to be a singer. And I was like, yes. And so we got together with some other people, and it didn't quite pan out. Andre, here's where it gets incestuous. Andre and Rodney are in a band called Ink Bats that are in the Bay Area. So they work together also. And it was a strange thing, I think, for Buzz, my bassist, to suddenly realize, I think we both realized it. He's like, I'm not sure how I feel about this, I'm like, oh, well, we realized that Andre was the first drummer that he had played with in 30 years that wasn't me. So we've all had a period where we've grown together. And
it seems that when you are talking about back in time, there was something about excitement. What does it mean for you, the same word excitement nowadays, after all these years? Are you still excited in creating the process of creation songs?
very, very much so. I mean, otherwise I wouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
And this album, like I said, we're all very happy with the way the album came out. Scott Brown is my bassist in Alter de Fe, and he is the person that recorded and mixed and remixed and engineered this album. And it's very easy to work with. He lives very close to my house. He has a great way of working where he doesn't put a whole lot of pressure on you to do this and that. And he also has a very interesting way of trying not to make each song sound like they were all recorded and mixed at the same time. He puts a little spice in there.
But what is really interesting, and I know that a lot of people really are not able to realize the meaning of my following words. Once is when you are singing, and once is when you are writing lyrics. Okay, it's something else. So, what does writing lyrics for songs mean to you?
I mean, they're mostly all based on very personal stuff that's happened in my life. I don't think there's much fluff. I don't throw a lot of babies into the music. How you doing, girl? Not a whole lot of that stuff. So most of it's come from just personal experiences. I love William S. Burroughs and his use of the cut-up technique. So I throw a little bit of that in there. There's a track on the very end of the album where I had this idea to use the cut-up technique a bit, and had each one of the people in the band go find a book that was important to them and then read a paragraph from it, and then mix them all together at the end. So you get to hear all the band members' voices individually. I don't know what they're talking about, but they're reading something that was important to them. And I figured that was.
Yeah. And how much does the loss of faith in man and there's a negative confidence in the future influence what you write? I mean, it seems that you reading your lyrics, it seems that you are not full of confidence in the future. It seems that you are seeing humanity in some way that we are destroying ourselves. And I think that you are really focused in this. You are incredible.
I mean, I like to think that there's hope. But yeah, I mean, it's difficult. I do a lot of self-exploration, do a lot of work, intertransformational work, alchemical processes.
Wow.
And that has to do, I mean, very with turning the lead into gold. So
Yeah.
The gold is there at the end. You know, I don't like to I don't like to just be a bummer for everybody. I like to find some sort of something at the end of the song that gives you hope.
I love this reply really so much. The album, ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about this one. Okay, go to buy, bad people. I did. I
Yeah.
did because I am the best. This album, I'm serious. The album shows that you know how to cross musical genres. Was that one of your primary choices? Because I define this one just for people, normal people, as my favorite death rock album. But in my review, in my wonderful review, I spend a lot of words trying to describe that you can notice that there is a cross of genres inside the song. Is something that is came out easily in a spontaneous way, or you decided that?
Honestly, it's just we get together in a room and we write songs and they come out the way they do. When we first formed Cole Strange, Buzz and Rodney and I had been working together for so long that we realized that we had written songs 30 years ago.
Wow.
That incarnation of the band didn't really record anything other than like 1 7-inch record. And we realized we had all these songs in a back catalog and listened to them. It was like, is there anything that we want to use from back then? So we used a couple of bits. We definitely cut out a lot of, we D90s things a bit.
Yeah.
And rearranged things. And all of the drum parts, I asked my drummer, even the stuff that we had played on before, I'm like, please ignore all my drum parts, come up with whatever works best for you. There's no, for me, I mean, the drum parts, there's no tie to the past with those.
Yeah.
He's a phenomenal drummer. And I feel like we've been playing together long enough that that really comes out on the album.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we just get together and we do what
Yeah.
Yeah.
You enjoy the time together. I have no doubts about it.
I wish we had more time together.
Yeah, I can hear when I'm playing that album, I say these guys, they are really connected, and it seems a stupid and fake words and gone. But this album makes me happy.
Oh, good.
It really makes me happy. And this is the next question that is tough and probably stupid for you. I beg your pardon in advance. But what what would you like your album to provoke in listeners? I told you it's a tough one.
No, it's definitely not a stupid question. That's not something that I'd thought about before. I mean, part of the reason that I don't know if you have the first EP.
Yeah.
We put lyric sheets in there as well. And the way the lyrics are on the page, completely unintelligible. I put all the lyrics of the song in and then cut them up and rearrange them in a way that hopefully people are making their own. People that, you look at the words and you get one association, and then you listen to the words, and if they don't line up, I like to feel that it opens up different possibilities. It's like it puts the idea in there, but not necessarily in the place that it would normally be. So I like to hope that that's letting people make their own associations with everything. It's part of the reason that there is such a limited lyric sheet in the current album as well. It's like they'll give you 1 or 2 lines, and I mean, some of my favorite lyrics are things that I misheard over the years. I was like, oh no, that's not what he's been saying. Oh damn.
Yeah. I got it.
I mean, honestly, I would just like for people to enjoy the music. People can take away whatever it is that they want. They can love us, they can hate us. I doubt they'll hate us. But whatever motivates people, whatever moves people. That's happy with that.
Can you control your personal path through all these years, since the end of the 80s when you start to create a band now? Can you control your path, doing exactly the right things, the things that you consider right, or it's happened something during your career that you say, oh fucking hell, there is something that is going wrong here,
Oh, there's plenty that has gone wrong.
You see, you see.
I was in a band. I was in a band called Chrome for 20 years or so, and that was an interesting ride. I feel like you have as much to learn from the things that you like as you do from the things that you don't like. And there was I mean, I feel like it's more educational to take things away from the stuff that you don't like. You learn things about yourself, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
I know it sounds
absolutely.
a little corny, but that's, I think, a better teacher than most
Listen,
teachers.
I have to tell you this because I'm a music journalist and I live here. I'm a fucking Italian. I'm so sorry. It's not my fault. And I'm living here in Europe, in England, Manchester, and I'm reading a lot of stupid things about one situation, and a lot of my colleagues and a lot of people saying that there is Auckland music scene that I don't agree, and I see the things in a different way. I think that city is my favorite city right now for post-punk and death rock bands, absolutely, but there are remarkable differences between bands if you going to listen proper. Probably you know all of them, all of these bands, and you are friends. But describing all of this as a music scene of Auckland, I think it is not that correct. What do you think about it?
Uh, I grew up. I grew up not too far away from San Francisco, not too
Yeah,
far away from Oakland. I started going to see shows in 1980 or 81. And like I said, for me, it was punk rock, and it was just I I was a Kiss fan when I grew up. I started playing drums because of Kiss, because of Peter Criss. And
wow.
all these years later, I'm starting to realize that it's pretty much still just about cats and makeup and drums for me. So I don't feel like I've strayed too far off my path. Um, but San Francisco was the hub for me. I mean, I spent 35 years living there. And it was phenomenal for me. Like San Francisco is such a wonderful city because there's so many cultures that are represented there, and it's layers and layers of history, um, and a lot of that unfortunately is being swept away or paved over, or new buildings are being just dumped on top of it, and I feel like a lot of it has lost its spark, I want to say. And the tricky thing about San Francisco is that it's a port town, um, and at some point I realized when the last, like, the .com boom
Yeah,
happened, and now all the tech stuff, and it's a gold rush town,
yeah,
and that's what happens over and over again, is the city will go back to being San Francisco, waiting for the next gold rush to happen, and
yeah,
that's when everybody comes in and changes everything. And there's still definitely a lot of history there, um, but I feel like Oakland has a much more vibrant uh, scene with bands now. I
yeah,
think that there are fewer places to play in San Francisco now. We've lost a lot of venues over the last 10 years,
yeah.
and there's just not a lot of places for people to play anymore.
Well,
Oakland,
when I'm going to listen every day to some of the Auckland bands because I'm addicted in some way, and I realized that there is an incredible energy by a side, but desperation at the same time at the other side. I think it seems that in that city there is something wrong. There is something about violence, solitude. Am I wrong once again, or my is a wrong interpretation? Please don't say that I'm wrong.
I mean, Oakland has also a rich history. Um, there, there's, I feel like if we're going to put violence on one side or the other, I mean, I feel like there's been a lot of violence in San Francisco, but there's probably been more in Oakland. It's definitely I moved here 4 years ago, and I definitely feel like there's more of a, again, more of a vibrance, more of a feeling that I had back in the 80s and 90s in San Francisco. I feel like that's still alive here. Um,
Wow.
there are a lot of underground bands and a lot of underground clubs still here, and I feel like that, I don't want to say edginess, but like that quality that visceral quality that you could just walk out your door and get shot if you're in the wrong neighborhood.
But there is something that is able to enrich your spirituality in that place in Auckland.
I'm not sure. I kind of feel like when I moved from San Francisco, she just didn't have anything left to give me anymore. And I moved to Oakland, and I feel like that's all helped to rekindle things. I'm a lot closer to most of my band members out here, our rehearsal studio. When I was still living in San Francisco, I was taking the train in and out, and I would have to take the last train back to San Francisco. And the last train back from San Francisco was pretty wild.
Yeah.
Post-pandemic, it was wild before the pandemic, but after the pandemic, it's like the wild west now. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I one night was coming back from work and got in a car. The cars are all connected, so you can walk from one to another. And I was like, oh, okay, there's no place for me to sit. So I go and move to the next car. And it kept becoming a little more lively. Like, oh, here's a bunch of folks. They're being loud. You know, they're yelling at each other. There are a bunch of like bottles like rolling down the aisles. I'm like, okay, I'll go to the next car. Next car had a group of houseless folks, and they had kind of made this big pile in the middle of the aisle of all their stuff. I'm like, okay. And as I'm exiting that train, I see somebody like shaving their head with a cordless shaver.
In the car.
It was like, yeah. And it was like every car I went to was like a new level of hell.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then I finally got to the one. I was running out of cars, but I opened the door, and this is post-pandemic, and I see the king of them all. And the king of them all has one of the poles that you hold on to, and he's just licking the pole. And I was like,
wow.
Oh, maybe he's trying out his vaccine. I don't know, but yeah, just kept going. It's been crazy.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's interesting. It keeps you on your toes.
Listen, I describe in my review the beauty of this cover. I think this living is exceptional. Listen, my question is about the colors, not the pictures, but the colors. Why you going with these ones?
This is not my artwork. This is a friend of mine from that I know only from Facebook. We have not met in real life.
Okay.
Danielle Santa Giuliana, please. I hope I got your name right. He has they have an art page. I only know them from their personal profile. And one day they were posting things on their page, and I happened to post a link to their artwork. And I went and looked through, and that one hopped out at me right away. It's like, that should be the cover of the album.
Yeah.
And if you look at the CD, it's a mirror image. So it's got all four of us, all four of the band members are on there.
Yeah.
And they're also the one that did the portrait of the band. And I was scrolling through their page. Yeah, look at that handsome fella. Was scrolling through their page and saw that they had come up with a painting, and it pretty much looked like Buzz, my bass player. And I was like, oh, well, we'll just get you to do, the portrait. So they're the ones that have done all the artwork. You would need to ask them questions about specific questions. I own the original painting now. I bought that from them. And for me, I enjoy the dark figures. I hope this doesn't come across as corny at all, but I feel like one of the things that we do in the band, or that I try to do lyrically, is to not just take things on the surface, but to go in and kind of make my shadow side, like the dark, sticky stuff inside of me, bring it out to the light. And I feel like that helps me work through it. There's some incredibly harrowing moments on the album about some of the stuff that I've gone through and some of the people that have gone through it with me. Sorry?
Yeah. No. I was saying, I'm sorry to know about the remixes. No,
yes.
the idea of the remixes of a couple of songs.
Yes.
how come? I mean, I try. They are wonderful, amazing. They open my mind because not only seems that there are different songs, but you really with that choice made me feel like you are not so focused to say your own, but you try to connect it with other experience, other way. I mean, it is a very important choice because it's your real first album.
I'm a huge fan of dub, like early 70s dub, like King Tubby and
Oh,
Scientist
wow.
and Lee
Wow.
Scratch Perry. So that is very important for me. One of the things that, and again, it brings it back to Burroughs, where you're doing a sort of disconnected version of things. And the thing with dub is it really forces you to listen to each one of the components of the song. And it's not just focused on the singer, it's not just focused on the guitarist. It forces you to listen to everything as a whole and to rearrange it so it's not necessarily in a linear form. Like you
Yeah.
can't, it's difficult to sing along to. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's definitely more, I feel like, for your body rather
Yeah.
than your brain, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm big fans of Killing Joke have done remixes like from the very beginning. Sex Gang Children in their early career did a lot of remixes, and I
Yeah.
love all that stuff. I
Yeah.
really do. So
Um, I have a something that this is I'm not able to keep private. I have to tell you that I have the feeling that in this band there is a family. The guitars are husband and wife. They are connected. They fighting. They doing for solo. They doing for company. Each other is great. The bassist player, oh my goodness, his job is amazing. It seems like a son full of energy and ideas. And the drummer, I don't know, I can describe the drummer, but he is, I don't know, a grandpa. But it seems that you are a family when you are playing.
I would agree, and the drummer being the newest member of the family. I mean, I feel like it's unfortunately he may have had a more difficult task than the rest of us because the rest of us have been working together for so long.
Yeah.
He's now learning how to come into the band and insult each other just like the other members of the band and I do. It's like, hey, fucking, oh great, look at you, there you are, you're wearing shorts and flip-flops, what are you kidding me? So there's a camaraderie that is there, and yeah, I feel like you're right, it is a family, and I love the analogy of the guitar
Yeah. Yeah.
and the husband and wife fighting to
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Listen, this is an unlovable question for many artists, and when because this is the only question that I already made in the past to other artists that I interviewed, but I have to ask you. Um, and 90% of them they are angry with me, and they say, "No, I don't agree with you, Alex. I hope that you agree with me." But what I think is ridiculous nowadays when I'm going to see live bands playing is that they are trying to reproduce the same atmosphere, the same song that we are able to listen with the CDs or vinyl. I think instead the live is an event and you have to be connected with the moment, with the place, with your problems, with the people, and not play in the same versions. What do you think about it?
I honestly, I mean, I feel like they're different mediums altogether, playing live and going in for recording. Difficult to do remixes while you're playing live. As an aside, one of the most amazing bands that I've ever seen play live, and I've seen them a number of times, is Fugazi. I don't know if you're familiar with them.
I
Yes.
adore you. I adore you. I adore you. Fucking no, really, I adore you. I spoke about them 2 days ago in my Facebook page, saying that my favorite live bands are James from Manchester and Fugazi. They are really exciting bands. Oh,
Yeah.
Fugazi.
They have a documentary called Instrument out,
Yeah.
and in that documentary, they reveal some of the inner workings. They have never ever used a set list in their live shows. They all have to listen to each other, which is something that unfortunately you don't get a lot of with bands. Like the guitarist is out doing his guitarist things and not listening to the drummer or the
Yeah.
bassist or the vocalist. and I don't feel that that's that serves the band or the audience at all. I mean, you need to listen to each other and you need to connect with the audience. And when you're playing live, there's sort of there's a reciprocity that happens with the band where you need the band to give you energy and you turn around and give that energy back to the audience. I had some very, very strange experiences with that. I was on stage with Chrome in Sweden, I believe, at one point, and it was a very strange thing because they all lined up to see the band, but they stood about 15 or 20 feet in front of the stage.
Yeah.
And there was just a gap.
Yeah.
Where there was nothing. So there's people and then a gap of 20 feet and then the stage. And I had a weird experience that night and mentioned it casually to my guitarist several months later. And we were just kind of shocked because it was a thing like, oh, well, I'm jet lagged. I actually fell asleep on stage in the middle of a song.
Wow.
And then woke up and I was still playing the song. And I was like, what in the world was that? Just thinking that I was jet lagged because it was towards the beginning of the tour. I mentioned that to my guitarist. And he's like, yeah, well, I fell asleep once. I was like, it was in Sweden, right? And he's like, how did you know that? And I was like, it was during Armageddon, right? And he's like, how did you know that? It was a weird, I don't know if it happened with anybody else, but it was a weird thing that happened. And we finally coaxed the audience to close the gap and to come up towards the stage. And I feel like that's when the energy got to flow again. But it was the strangest thing. It's like, oh, you don't really realize how much, how integral that energy is to get you going to do what it is that you need to
But
do.
for your experience, do you think that playing live helps in writing new songs?
I'm to a degree, yeah. I mean, I'm really enjoying playing with this band. And like I said, part of it is that I'm kind of learning who I am as a performer now, because I have to be upfront and I need to figure out, like when we first started, I didn't know what to do. Singing a Sisters of Mercy tribute, Sisters of Mercy singer just stands still and doesn't move the entire time. I'm like, okay, I don't want to do that. That's not very exciting. So it's been exciting for me to finally figure out who I am as a performer. So that's been an interesting journey, and one that I don't see stopping anytime soon. I mean, I'm not going to suddenly, oh, that's it, that's who I am, I'm fucking David Bowie now. That's been interesting. And I mean, I feel, again, and I know it's going to sound corny, but I feel like life is that, your whole life is like that. You take all the good stuff and the bad stuff and you look back at it and you're like, I don't want to do that again, and I feel like I should do more of that. Or mistakes, what you think are mistakes when you go out there and you're like, oh, I've rewritten lyrics by accident that have come out live. And it's like, oh, that's a better line than the one that I had been using.
I have a stupid question for you, because in missing 5 minutes to the end, because we have 40 minutes.
Yes.
Do you want to stop at the end, or you want to do another one, another one?
We can go after this.
Okay. Yeah. So when I will say stop, I will stop the recordings, and after that, okay. Because we have 4 minutes and 46 seconds available. Yes. Sorry, because I have to make the upgrade, but I have no money to make the upgrade.
Please don't worry.
Okay, this is the last question of the first part. How much is important for you when you have realized the record, everything, the mixing, etc., that everything was done? There was a part of you that was dying and say, oh, fucking hell, I finished my job here? Or there was something like, wow, I created something that it would be forever?
More wow than, I mean, because it's not going to stop with this album. We're already writing new material. We're playing in 1 week, and hopefully the records show, or the CDs show up by then, so we can actually give them to people.
Wow.
The show playing live is just a whole different thing. Like I said, I feel like the mediums are completely different. I will forever hear all of the mistakes that I made on that album
Yeah, yeah,
over and over again, and like, I should have just taken 2 minutes out and done it a second time. But I'm very happy with the way it came out, especially the overall thing,
yeah,
with it,
yeah.
the prologue and the remixes and all of that stuff. I know we're called cult strange, but we're not really that strange. So anything that we can do to make it stranger, we're gonna try and do.
Yeah, yeah. Listen, I stop now the recordings,
Yeah.
and we will be back in a few seconds.
All
Okay.
right.
Hello, here we are
Hello.
once again. Listen, I was thinking about the meaning for you of going live, and the stupid question is, what's planned in the future for the geeks and everyone are able to ask. Instead, my question is different. What is missing when you are going live of your private life? This is a good question.
What's missing?
Yeah.
Um,
It's tough.
you're gonna make me think.
I know
I don't.
it's unusual for you.
I don't know that there's anything that's missing. I kind of feel like it's a different, uh, just a different aspect of life. There's my job. I love my job. Uh, love the wife, love the cat, pay rent like an adult, and then go act like a jackass on stage.
Jackass, I love it.
Jump around and try and rile people up. And yeah, I don't feel like I don't feel like one excludes the other.
Yeah.
I mean, if anything, they work together. All the boring stuff goes into your head, and you have to do something with it. So you kind of tart it up a bit and turn it into lyrics and hope that other people agree with you. Like, yeah, we hate Facebook, or whatever it is. War is terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Do
mean,
you, do you think that today a lot of people are connected by social, and they discover music in this way? As a music journalist now, I think that social, you have to learn how to use it because it's tough. It's really difficult. But if someone know your band because of Instagram, Facebook, etc., and what is your reaction? Because I'm old and I really love discover band, walking through the streets, talking with the others, and not because of technology. But I try to learn, but I don't love it. So it's happened that you knew by someone else. Oh, fucking hell! I discovered a band is called Carl Strange by Facebook, for example. What kind of reaction you have? You don't know.
honestly, I just feel like it's another tool in our toolbox. It reaches a much broader audience. I mean, I'm sure you have had the same experience where back in the 80s or back in the
Yeah,
90s, you would have to walk into a record store and flip through until you found something that was, oh, this cover's interesting, then take it home and figure out whether you like it or hate it.
yeah,
But I feel like things like when pledge music was around, and you were able to contribute directly to the artist and know that uh, your money was going directly to them rather than to some record company who weren't giving any money back to the band. I
yeah,
feel like that's a much better connection, especially for the artist. And Bandcamp, I feel, works the same way. Um, and there's a feature at the bottom of Bandcamp. It's like, oh, Cult Strange album. And you scroll down and it's like, if you like Cult Strange, you might like these other bands.
yeah.
And me, that's great. I don't use Spotify or anything like that. And I think that I think it's a similar thing. But yeah, being able to contribute your money, to give your money directly to the band, I
Yeah.
think is a fantastic thing. And really, I mean, the record industry has a long history of not helping their
Yeah,
artists.
but as the American says, Houston, we got a problem. I mean, I'm not able to handle something like this, or files of internet music. I love vinyls. Okay,
Yeah. Oh, well, yes.
and
I
now
mean,
listen that in my house in Italy, I got more than 30,000 vinyls. Do you know what I mean? A
yeah,
lot, huge. So nowadays, it seems that cities are really in danger because, for example, you can't buy a new car having the record, as you said in English, when you get the CDs.
Yeah. I mean, it's same with computers now. Computers don't
Yeah.
have slots for CDs
So,
or DVDs.
so it still makes sense nowadays to print CDs, for example, because it's so difficult to listen to them.
Well, what's really strange with a lot of the
Strange call.
electronic.
Strange call. Sorry.
No, it's fine. Uh, one of the things that is strange to me now is a lot of the underground shows that are being played. The things that kids want most are cassette tapes. It's like it's
Wow.
gone from cassette tapes. Let's see, vinyl to cassette tapes to CDs, back to vinyl, back to CDs, back to cassette tapes.
Cassette.
Yes.
Wow.
See,
Wow.
I'm honestly Tomas Woodruff and Batcave Productions. I'm very, very grateful that they even had interest in putting this out. So, I mean, I'd like to see it on vinyl one day, but for now, the vinyl is such a pain in the ass right now.
Why? Why?
The pellets that you use to make records, they're running out of them. They come from, I forget the story. They come from one place in Thailand, and they're running out of them. And part of the problem with Record Store Day, for example, is that if you're on a not a major label, one of the things that will happen is there are very few vinyl pressing plants left, and the major labels will just have all of the stuff that's not on their major label shoved to the back of the queue and to get their records out for Record Store Day. So my other band, Alter de Fe, the first two albums that we put out took nearly 2 years from having all the artwork and the music given to the label to when we were up in the queue to be pressed and then to have everything sent back to us. It wasn't like that. It wasn't like that.
Yeah, listen, when I was young, I was thinking in some way. Now I'm an adult, I'm old, I'm stupid, but I always been so curious about how can it's possible handle that you are playing in two bands. No, for example, you are doing something like that.
Me too.
It's easy for you. It's not problematic.
No, not so much. I mean, with Alter de Fe and Cold Strange, and I play drums in Alter de Fe and sing in Cold Strange, so they're definitely two different things that they're engaging. We played a handful of shows together, which I would love to see that bill, those two bands.
Yeah.
But I feel like one of the things that happened recently is that if I'm singing in Cold Strange and then playing drums later in Alter de Fe, I feel like singing kind of puts me in my body and gives me
but the meaning of being a member of a band is the same with Alter de Fe and Cold Strange, or is a different level?
I'm still the same person.
Okay.
I'm just doing a different job.
Wow. Look. Fucking hell. No, this is the answer. I love it. Listen, may I ask you something about Alter de Fe? There is something that is coming out of you, or we have to waiting for the next 2 centuries, for example?
Oh, come on. We put out the last we finished recording our last EP, which also came out on Batcave Productions. We finished recording that 2 days before lockdown happened here in California. That's not that old. I don't think we've had the record release party for that yet.
Yeah.
But we were in the studio. We were in the studio about a month ago, and went in and recorded 6 new tracks. The thing with that band also is that band formed in 1981 or 82.
Yeah.
Kent, my guitarist, I think I joined in maybe 83, and we never really recorded anything. And the band split up in 87, I want to say. And we put that band back together about 11 or 12 years ago. Initially, it was just a two-piece. Kent had told me that through the miracle of social media, we found a bunch of folks that were still in bands back then. Death rock was not a very big scene back then. There were probably like less than 10 bands in the Bay Area that we would play with. And we were a little surprised to find everybody on Facebook. Well, not everybody, but we had some great drugs in the 80s, so not a lot of people are anymore. But there was enough of us that we were able to put together something called Death Stock. So it was a 2-day festival and put a lot of the old bands back together again. And Kent was joking and he's like, hey, we should put the band back together. I'm like, yes, we should. At that point, I'd been singing in the Sisters of Mercy tribute band. So I'd been singing and programming drum machines. I play enough bass. And with the Sisters tribute, we just put all the drum parts and keyboard parts on an iPod and plug that in and go. So that's what we did with Alter de Fe. Kent and I got back together. He hadn't touched a guitar in 15 years. He had just been doing other stuff, like more noise-based stuff. So we had to teach him all the songs again, and went out and did our first show with just the two of us. I sang and programmed the drum machine and played bass on the iPod. So that was it. We were a 2-piece band. And within 5 minutes of that set being over, we had an offer for a second guitarist and a drummer. And we're like, wow, this is easier than we thought.
But do you play also in your life guitar?
We did at that show. Yes.
Yeah, in that show.
So it was just guitar and vocals and
yeah. Listen, I have just a couple of questions because I don't want to keep you busy too much. If I'm a wonderful woman, maybe I got more chances. I'm a stupid man.
I've already got a wonderful woman. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Lisa, I would like to ask you something very delicate. Very delicate. This is the question that is jumping in my mind 2 years ago about you. Now you are in front of me, so this is the moment. Someone asked me some years ago about Alter de Fe. They asked me, can you compare, Alex, this band to Christian Death? My reply was no. Okay. And I say that you can judge someone because you think that there are some comparison very easy that come out. I say to these people, listen, you have to listen deep inside. And I really love Christian Death, and Russell Williams for me is like a god. I love him and I will always love him. I think he's the most delicious person that I've ever met in my life. But when we are talking about music, you have to respect the bands. It's not a war. It's not a question of compare the other band, and try to stay focused. No, and I found it, and I found that in Alter de Fe there are some elements that wasn't possible for Christian Death at the time, living in the same way. You are really different bands. There is happened in for you and the band in the past someone that say, okay, this is the new Christian Death that is coming up?
Not so much. We were contemporaries. We opened up for Christian Death.
Yeah, that is the reason. Yeah.
And when we put the band back together, we ended up playing with Only Theater of Pain. I don't know if you're familiar with them.
Yeah.
Rick Agnew and Jetan Damone from the original lineups, and a band that they'd put back together doing that album. So we got to play with them and get to meet Jetan and Rick for the first time.
Yeah.
And we were friends on Facebook, but this is the first time in real life. And Jetan was like, people have told me about you, you're this very old band. We're like, we're not that old. Yeah, that's, I mean, it's great. I love the first 3 albums that Christian Death put out. Yeah, absolutely, hands down.
With the Russell Williams.
Yes.
Yes. I don't want to spend my time saying bad words against someone, but for me, Christian Death is with Russell Williams. Absolutely. Listen, the last question. Starting from the name called Strange, and seeing this album, the title is massive. It's full of meaning, and for me, it's like a wound, because Conjuring Feral is the connection is incredible, very strong. There is something behind this decision to call this album this way, or
maybe.
So it means
serious.
I don't know. Bad boy.
I will tell you a very short story about how that happened. Came up with the title. 4 of the songs were included on our first EP.
Yeah.
We went back in and remastered them and remixed them and added some extra bits. One of the things that we added on the original recording for the last track, Hex Pox Vex, it was just the band members and Scott, the engineer, and we all sang the gang chorus, Hex on you. And for this recording, we brought in a bunch of people that are very dear to us, who also happen to be more or less female identifying, because we thought, you know who else hates the patriarchy? Women. So we have a whole group of women that we brought in to help on that chorus. And the sound is amazing. It just completely changes the song from the old version to the new version. And when I suggested Conjuring Feral Angels as a title, everybody was in agreement. And our drummer, Andre, was like, that's what we did, bringing in those other folks for the chorus of Hex Box Vex. That's what we're doing. I bring those feral angels to help us accomplish our work.
I forget a question.
Yeah.
The last one, I promise.
Yes.
There is your wife in the album.
Yes.
In the prologue, no?
Yes. Yes.
You told me privately the story behind. Is possible to reveal, or you have to keep secret? Because I found it very exciting, and wow, I laugh a lot about it.
Yeah, we have that's our live intro.
Yeah,
and generally what we had been using in the past is there's a Ken Russell film called Salome's Last Dance, and the lyrics, the words in that part, we just took out of the film. So it was her telling the story, and it was just, to me, initially, I have a whole mythology that I built up. Like after we'd recorded, like put the stuff down, I was like, oh, well, wait, I hadn't thought about it, but that and that and that and that. And the last line in it is, and when I looked at you, I heard strange music. So that's when the intro stops, and that's when the band starts. And when I was talking to Tomas from Batcave Productions, and I was like, so are you concerned about copyright? And he's like, let's just not use it. And I thought, you know who I could get to say all these wonderful things about me? So now it's extremely complimentary every time I listen to it.
Yeah.
And no copyright infringement.
Yeah, that is the most important thing, no? Listen, I would like to tell you, thanks so much. I hope that you appreciated this stupid Italian guy that show all his love for you and your band, that you are amazing. And I'm doing myself to promote your band, to promote this one, guys. Go to buy it, to listen, sharing the news. Car Stranger are out with the debut album. I think that this is I would like to say thanks to Batcave. I don't want to forget Batcave is important. Thanks, Batcave. Very kind of you. And listen, I'm sending you a big hug, hoping one day to meet for exactly, because you are so big. I'm tiny. Listen, thanks so much, and I hope that one day you coming here in Europe. I don't think it would be so easy, but I would like to see your band. And please invite me if you come here.
Of course.
I will buy the ticket. I will buy the ticket. Don't worry. Don't worry.
Tomas is already trying to get us to do Return to the Batcave, which is his festival in Wrocław, Poland. Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see if we can make it out. I would love to do that.
Anyway, let me know if you're coming. Yes, okay. Thanks a lot. Yeah. So.